Hi, this is Dave with NTI Online, and today we're going to go over an ignition failure or possibly an alert 291 on your TFT boiler. This troubleshooting will apply to all your TFTs. They do get bigger and smaller, but the troubleshooting process is essentially the same for all of them. First thing you want to verify is to look up at your sight glass at the top of the boiler. See if you're getting a flame that goes out or you're getting no flame at all. You do treat the symptoms somewhat differently. We're going to start by going over what happens if there's no flame at all. So you look in the peephole, the sight glass, you see your stack temperature doesn't go up. There's just no indication of flame that you can detect. The first thing you want to do in this instance is remove the air intake from the boiler and let it try again without the intake connected. To do that, there's two 5/16 or 8mm clamps that hold this on. You're going to loosen those up. Once they're loose, which I've already done, you're going to give this a wiggle, pull it off, and just make sure there's nothing in here. Anything large that may have gotten sucked in, leaves, small animals, whatever, typically gets stuck in this short section of venting. It's rare that they're up inside the rest. But pull that off, make sure it's clean. If you do find dirt and debris, you want to find out where that's coming from. One commonly overlooked thing is the interior of the venturi. To inspect the venturi, we're going to get rid of that no hub clamp and set it to one side. Take your finger, run it inside here, and make sure that it's hard, clear, smooth plastic. There should be a slight ridge just inside. You can feel with your finger. It should be very clearly defined. If this feels cracked, your finger's coming out very black and sooty looking or dirty, you may have a damaged venturi, and you'll want to inspect and find out why the venturi is damaged and potentially replace it before proceeding. Any cracks in here is enough to make sure that, or to make it so this will not operate at all. Once you've removed that, we're going to clear the lockout and allow it to try ignition again. If your boiler lights and runs at this point, that would indicate either your gas valve settings are well out of adjustment or that you have a blocked air intake. For setting the valve, we have a separate video. You can see that in the title section below. And we're going to proceed and move to the next step now. So if you still get no ignition and you've left the boiler in the condition here, drawing air from the room, you're going to want to inspect and see if you have a good strong spark. So to do that, first thing I'm going to do is turn the boiler off. It's a good idea to turn the gas off just in case any gas comes out and leaks. We don't want to have it ignite inside the room. So you're going to remove the igniter. This one's already been loosened. And what you want to look for is fairly straight electrodes that aren't badly warped. They should look very much like what you see here. The gap is approximately 3/16 of an inch. If this gap is too small, you may get failed ignitions or very rough ignitions, and of course if it's too large, the same thing. Also inspect this ceramic, and what you're looking for is black carbon tracing or pinholes in here. That would indicate that possibly the igniter is actually arcing to the burner door instead of arcing across the gap. Once you're happy the igniter is in good condition, ensure the ground wire remains connected. Verify that this orange wire, the spark wire, is in good condition. You can actually ohm this out with your voltmeter. This should read approximately 1,000 ohms of resistance when it's in good condition. Plug that back in, turn your boiler on, watch for your ignition. You should get a strong, consistent spark that lasts about 5 or 6 seconds each time the boiler tries. So that's a normal spark. It's strong and consistent for approximately 5 seconds. You can hear the frequency with which it's buzzing. Your spark should be very similar to that. If it's intermittent, choppy, or much weaker than that, you may have a bad spark generator or possibly a damaged cable. So at this point, we've verified that we have air coming in, we have a good spark. The next thing we need to find out is, do we have enough gas getting to the boiler? So I'm going to reinstall my igniter. The next step is going to be to verify that we have gas. So to do that, you're going to find in your installation manual the gas pressure test port. On this boiler and on most boilers, it's the test port that's closest to where the gas line enters the valve. So in our case, it's the one on the right. You're going to loosen this screw and attach your manometer to the valve. You're then going to power up the boiler and watch for a gas pressure drop during ignition. Your static pressure should be within the range for the gas you're burning, so that's typically 4 to 9 inches for natural gas. For propane, it's going to be somewhere between 9 and 12. If your gas is lower than that or you have no gas pressure, at that point you need to find the regulator and inspect your gas line for issues. If the amount of pressure drop you see is greater than 1 or 2 inches, you may actually have a gas line issue. So either the line is undersized, possibly there's some restriction, water or something in the gas line. What you're looking for on your manometer is a nice consistent pressure drop during each ignition sequence. You can tell when the boiler is trying to ignite because again you'll see direct burner ignition shown on the screen here. While you see that, you should see your pressure dip for approximately 5-6 seconds and then come back up. If you get no dip in pressure at all, that would indicate that potentially your valve is not receiving power, or if it is getting power, it's not opening. So another thing you can do is just hold on to this, and while the boiler goes through its ignition sequence, you should feel a fairly firm clunk, and then another clunk when it shuts back off. If you're feeling a hesitation or a fluttering in that, oftentimes it actually indicates that the gas valve harness is bad, and I'll show you how to troubleshoot the harness next. So to remove the harness, undo the screw on the front. This particular harness has a built-in rectifier, which means that we take AC voltage from the controller and this outputs DC voltage. And you're going to check the 2 outside pins, so the far left and the far right pins. Stick your voltmeter in. Typically I find I have to use a paper clip or something to insert into the harness because the holes are too small for my voltmeter leads. And you should expect to see 24 volts DC during each direct burner ignition cycle that you see here. Again, that voltage should come on for 5 or 6 seconds. If you see nothing at all, you're going to want to move back to the blue and brown wires. You're going to disconnect the harness. You're going to set the harness to one side and measure for AC voltage across these wires. Again, you should get 24 volts AC consistently for about 5 seconds while direct burner ignition is displayed. If you have voltage here and nothing here, you have a bad gas valve harness and you need a new one. This is a more common failure than the valve itself. Neither fails very often, but it's more common for this to be bad than it is for this to be bad. Another thing to look for is if you get a very low voltage across here, if you see 12, 13, 14 volts, 15 volts, anything less than about 21 volts indicates that your harness is bad. So I'm going to plug that back in. So at this point we've checked for gas pressure, incoming air. We've checked to make sure that we're getting voltage to our gas valve. We know we've got a good spark. If for some reason your boiler is still failing to ignite, the next step would be to try and reset your gas valve. For the TFT 60 through 110 and other boilers that use this Honeywell valve with this style of venturi, the way to reset this and get it back to a factory setting is you're going to find the brass high fire adjustment screw. On some of the boilers it'll be off to the side, some of it's straight on like this. You're going to turn this all the way in until it bottoms out. You're then going to back it off 6 to 7 complete revolutions. What that's going to do is set the valve in a condition where it should be more or less close to the factory setting. You're going to allow it to try and ignite. If it fails ignition, you're going to back it off 1 more complete revolution, try it a second time, a third, and a fourth time. If for some reason the boiler's still not lighting, we need to proceed to the next step, which is we're going to have to open the combustion chamber, clean out the burner, clean the combustion chamber, and then try again. hopefully that helps you with diagnosing your next ignition failure if you encounter one. We do have a separate video for cleaning the combustion chamber and the burner, and we'll have a separate video discussing what to do if the boiler lights and goes out every time, meaning that you're getting a flame, but the flame won't remain lit. It's a slightly different symptom and requires a different set of troubleshooting. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have any questions, please contact NTI Tech Support 800-688-2575. Thanks for watching the video today. If you'd like to check out more videos, see the link below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for all the future updates. And also check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.